So we have our guests tonight, Luke and Tanya.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for having us on today.
Ooh.
Thanks for coming. It's an honor to have
Yep.
guests on our second episode.
Yep. So,
So what? I'm curious. What's the name of your podcast?
discipled. It's discipled with 3 Ds at the end and an underscore. Because Instagram didn't let us create just discipled. So it was like the username was already taken.
Disciple D cubed.
Yeah, disciple
It's like the
DQ.
Trinity. It's fine.
Oh yeah.
There we go. The
By
Trinity.
the way,
Yeah.
The triple D. Trinity.
and it's
triple
three
D.
of us.
Hey. That,
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That's a good one. I
That's
love
a
it.
good one. Yeah,
That's
for
gonna
real.
be my new
It's
explanation.
like 3D, 3 dudes.
3 dudes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's
I
good.
love it.
Okay. Now you know the reason why it's 3 Ds at the end.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Like we made it from
You
our
planned it on purpose.
It was on purpose.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So, yeah, so that's our podcast name, by the way. So yeah, the Luke and Tanya is, our lead pastors here in Journey. So thanks to them, we are able to do this podcast. All this equipment belongs to the church. so
Yes.
so
great.
yeah, we just wanted to invite them, and since they are, maybe you could tell about your missionary journey a bit. Like, it would be better if you'd say how you started the church and how everything began.
Okay, so we were ministers in Minnesota before, in America, and we were doing youth and kids ministry for 10 years at 2 different places, as a total of 10 years. And then we always felt like we needed to move overseas, but we didn't know where. And we had been several places, but a lot of places we were inclined to look into were Central America, the Caribbean area, because we've been there multiple times. And we thought, well, we have a few connections there, so let's look, and nothing panned out. And then it worked out to where we moved to another city, and we didn't really want to move to another city in Minnesota. We wanted to leave Minnesota and go overseas, but it was good timing for us because we needed to get rested and ready. The Lord told us as we were there for a while. And as soon as we said the phrase, man, we could live here for a while, it was like the next week we met our previous area director, Nick Puccini, and he said, hey, I'm moving to this city called Tallinn, Estonia, and we're in the country of Estonia, and we're like, Esta what? And I literally said that to him. I was like, what? That sounds like Encino Man, the movie. If you don't know about it, it's a Pauly Shore movie, Brendan Fraser. And he said something about Estonia or something there. And I was like, what? That's not even a real place. And he goes, yeah. And then he started telling us that we're going to be in a team of missionaries. We're going to plant a church where there isn't a church. We have kids the same age, all these green light after green light after green light. So I was like, yes. So let's go to Tallinn. We don't know this place. We raised money for a year and a half. We went there the first time, never, ever been there, except for a few pictures on Google and some newspaper clippings. We didn't know anything about the place. So it was really amazing. God did amazing stuff there. A year and a half in, we get a message from Pastor Kevin Taylor, and he's like, hey, do you know anybody that would want to help us plant a church in Vilnius? And we're like, no. No one we know. Us, we're busy. The other missionaries at the time that we knew of in the area, they're all busy or they're retiring or whatever they're doing. So there's nobody that can help us out here. So I just said no, nobody that we know of either. He goes, okay, well, let me know if there's any change in that. And so I told Tanya about it. We talked about it a little bit, and we're like, wow, that's kind of crazy. Wonder what that's about. A couple weeks go by, and I asked her, I was like, have you thought about that at all? And she goes, yeah, I haven't stopped thinking about it. I'm like, shoot. Neither have I. So we had opportunity to go back to America and check out Journey Church and then meet everybody properly and see what's going on. And we're like, we'd be foolish not to work with this church to help start another church in Vilnius. And the main reason why we want to be in the Baltics isn't necessarily per the country that we're in. It's the idea of planting churches throughout the Baltics as a whole. So we want to help facilitate whatever we can to push church planting through the Baltics in big format, small format, home church, whatever, large church, and anything in between. So we were very open to saying that and everything. And they're like, yeah, we want you to be one of our campuses. We want to help launch you. And so they wanted to help and support us financially and all kinds of other things. Just with graphics, even the paint color in the building, I didn't even have to choose it because it was already chosen by Journey. So like, they helped so much. Vision, mission, purpose, strategy, all the stuff written down, fonts, like the weird stuff that you have to come up with, already done. And all we had to do is click and drag into, or copy paste into where we wanted it.
That's great.
It was amazing.
What was nice about that, I want to say, was when you move to a new place, you don't know anyone, right?
Yeah.
So we got to focus on relationships. We got to focus on meeting people and not worrying about, like, what should we name the church? What kind of values will we have? We just got to be with people, have them over to our house for dinner, meet with people outside, and just be in people's lives, which was fun because we started off the church in our apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's super fun to see what happens when you just simply say yes to the Lord.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's amazing. It's like
So we started off in our apartment with like 12 or 15 people, including our family.
Our family of 5. So
Well,
So like one
and
third.
another family had several children, so it was maybe 20. And then we went to the office center right by the Maserati dealer.
oh yeah, the quadrum.
The
The
Quadrum,
Quadrum,
we were
yeah.
there. We watched that building be built as we were meeting on Sundays. Then we got to a point while we were there, we were renting this place to renovate it, and then we were able to move in here. And so we started off with like 20-something people. We had, when this was being launched, around this time frame, like 6 months or so on either side to a year, we had other missionaries coming too. So we had a team of about 30 missionaries altogether from America that we didn't even recruit, which was amazing. That was like a godsend. He just put people available in our radar. Like our leaders would call and say, "Hey, do you want to have these people? Why don't you get on a video call with them and see if they'd fit on your team?" And like, it just happened again and again. And all of a sudden, we have 30 people, including kids, which are some of the best missionaries that you
Wow.
can ever have. So a lot of them are all gone, which is fine, and there's room for all the local people to
Yeah,
be
that's
doing
true.
the leadership
Maybe
now,
God
so-
brought them just to help us
Yeah,
build a place.
yeah.
Yeah.
to launch us up. So it's pretty cool.
Wow.
I actually didn't know that like in Tallinn you was not a part of Journey yet.
Not yet.
So
Not
you
yet.
just knew Kevin Taylor, like Pastor Kevin Taylor, from just like knowing him, yeah. And then he just
Yeah.
asked you, not even invited, but asked, and then just like God's plan was. started.
So Pastor Kevin and Journey Church in America, they supported us as just missionaries going to Tallinn. So we have many churches that support the different missions work that we do, and they were one of the many churches that supported. And when they wanted to plant a church here, they were just reaching out to the missionaries in this area, asking, do you know anyone that would want to help us? We really feel a burden to go and plant a church in Vilnius. So, yeah, we didn't know him before at all. We didn't know Journey. I had never met Pastor Kevin. I didn't know Journey Church. So, it's kind of crazy.
Great. And I wanted to hear also your story of like how you met each other, because I told it to Tanya when I asked for a prayer on one service, is that like when I just first time came to the church, and it was like 3 months ago. So I first seen Pastor Luke preaching, and then I've seen like Tanya around. Also, I knew that she's also a pastor, and then I just one day connected that okay, they're together, and then I also seen them
like-
with kids, and then I'm like, wow, such a beautiful family, and like I can see how God is working through you, and that this relationship's led by Christ, and that you just you
because we
you
wanna-
look very great together, and that's why I wanted to ask also how if you can quickly share how you met each other. And how
No,
it
it's
all started.
confidential. We can't share that.
Okay.
stuff.
End of the
Don't home.
End of podcast.
Come
yeah.
on.
End of the podcast.
No, because we want to focus this podcast towards of how about relationships, family, and like for younger generation like us,
Yeah.
we're not in a relationship yet, but later on in life we might be, or I don't know, we might be.
Hey,
Yeah.
Might be not, might
Yeah.
be.
Who knows?
But yeah, so we just want some advice on that. So that's the main thing we want to focus the podcast towards. So if you,
Yeah.
that's like one of the, I think it's a very, very good question to start with. It's like how you guys met and like,
Yeah. Just a word of advice on that too. If you're ever sitting down with a married couple at dinner, breaking the ice this is the perfect question for that, because married couples always have interesting stories. Either they're really dull or they're really interesting, and everything in between too. So it's like pretty funny to.
and then they proceed to say a 1 hour monologue of how they met.
Yeah.
Yes.
It goes
Yeah.
cold.
Well,
Yeah.
do you want to lead? Or?
Yeah. No, I
Okay.
can. So first off, Luke and I we come from very different backgrounds. So Luke grew up in a Christian family, has always been surrounded by church family, etc. And I grew up not a part of a church family at all. A lot of brokenness in my home. That we came from totally two different places in life, and yet to see what God has done over the last, we will be married in September for 22 years. 22 years.
Wow.
So, it's pretty crazy to see what God does. But we met when we were 18, right? 18.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago. We are now 43. So, 25 years ago. That's a long
Yeah.
time. And we met at what you'd basically call like Bible college. It was held at a local church.
It's like a vocational school for ministry.
Yes.
Would it be maybe a college equivalent? Yeah.
And we met there. And when we first met, actually, I had a broken leg.
Black.
It was very broken.
It was very broken. Like,
Ah,
if you could
okay.
see, this whole part of my leg was broken. And my very first memory of Luke McKinley was this. We were at what is called the Mall of America. It's a big, huge mall in Minnesota.
Heard of it?
And
What was it?
we were doing some scavenger hunt, like our class, like getting to know each other and all of this stuff. And it was too much for me to try to do crutches around this whole entire mall, right?
Huge.
So they decide, like, let's get Tanya a wheelchair and we'll just push her around. It'll be so great. And I'm like, yes, push me around. That's great. Little did I understand Luke's personality at the time. And he and another guy that I had just met,
We both had pretty similar
personalities,
personalities.
decided to push me down an escalator.
We didn't let
Like
go
moving
of her.
stairs, that like
Yeah.
Extreme
they
sport.
pushed me down the escalator.
But
She
it's-
didn't
In
go
a wheelchair.
We
Whoa.
held her the handles in the back, and another guy was in the front to hold
Oh,
the feet.
That's
Ah,
not what it
okay.
felt like.
That's a crazy.
No, I-
because I thought you just pushed and just.
Yeah, we just watched her tumble down. We don't have so many more bones that she
fine.
could break.
I want to go
Maybe her
faster.
leg won't. Maybe we could break her leg again.
Another leg.
That's okay, but that's what it felt like. Was I don't know these two guys, and they're like, instead of waiting for the elevator, let's just push you down the escalator.
We don't got time for this. We're in a race here.
Yes, we were in like a scavenger hunt race. So, but that was my first. That's my first memory of Luke McKinley.
Yeah.
That's something to remember.
I imagine
You made impressions.
how I imagine it is
That's
like
cool.
Tani is a new Christian just discovering, and she thinks like, "Oh, Christian guys should be so nice." And
Yes, yes.
Let's go.
And they just push her down an escalator.
Yeah,
What?
exactly.
Wow, that's crazy.
So yeah, we met there at Bible college, basically. And it was really a great way to meet because the first year in this program, you're not allowed to date.
Okay.
And
Not even emotionally date or mentally. Like they were on you. Like, you thinking about that girl?
Forget.
Don't.
Forget it.
Forget about it.
but we
Sorry.
so during that year, we just got to know each other as friends, which I think is the basis for any long-lasting relationship is friendship, actually.
Wow.
Because so many things can change over life. And what will always remain is the friendship that you have with one another. So I'm glad that we had that year and all the years since then. The escalator.
The escalator.
But I'm glad that we've had that foundation first before anything else. And obviously, Jesus was also at the center of that relationship, which is crucial, I think, as well for a long-lasting relationship. So,
That's some very interesting story. I never knew the escalator part before.
yeah, escalators. So we were friends for about a year, just over a year. We dated for 9 months,
And then we were engaged
for 9 months.
Wow.
Wow.
So,
Congratulations.
So step one, guys, write it down. Push the girl down an escalator.
Break your leg.
break her leg, push her down the escalator.
Go to Minnesota.
To the big mall.
But I would say, to the point of knowing each other as friends, we had time to actually discover things about each other, how we worked together in groups, how we interacted with other people. I got to learn Tanya's story enough to know how to respect her. And one of the reasons why we did what we did when we started dating, we didn't kiss until we got married, like never once.
Okay.
And the whole church of like 3,000 people knew about this. And we're like, we lived in a glass house, like the president in Lithuania
Okay.
has his glass house in the park. It was like that. Like everyone was like, and they would like do reconnaissance, and there was video cameras in the church parking lot. So we just said, forget it. Let's just sit in the car and talk in the church parking lot because then nobody has to speculate anything. It's all recorded. But we didn't kiss, and I think a large part of why that was because of both of our backgrounds. I needed the discipline, but she needed the respect.
Okay.
So she needed to know that I wasn't just about physicality, like, hey, let's start kissing, let's start whatever, because that's how Hollywood, that's how media, that's how our world teaches us, grooms us to just get in there and take everything and then leave is like typically the get in that relationship and get what you can before it breaks up, and that's not respectful for yourself, and it's not respectful for the other person either. So being that we were actually forced, but we signed up to be forced, being that we agreed to this type of discipline, we realized in retrospect how beautiful it was because we weren't needing to take advantage of each other. We were able to just say everything's fine. We're relaxed. Nothing is hyper about anything. And when we did kiss, it was, I could say, magical. It was great.
It was
So
like the wait was worth it.
it was very worth it.
I mean, what was fun about that is we did it out of obedience to what God had asked us to do. So we both, before we even started dating, knew that that's what we wanted in our relationship with our future spouse, to have it not based on physical things.
Yeah.
Because that just comes. That's like a natural thing, But to have the respect for one another and the friendship, the foundation of that is something that you can't go back and build as easily once physical things come into play. So,
Yes.
and it was so fun to have, like Luke said, at our wedding. So, in weddings when it's like, okay, you may kiss the bride, and it just kind of happens. People cheer, but in that room, it was like an explosion
They were
went off.
standing and like just
Cheering.
cheering and whistling, the whole deal. It was
And that was really fun
crazy.
for us because we knew that people were celebrating the fact of us honoring God in that way. And it was so fun to include people in that. So for us, when it comes to any kind of relationships, like with our kids, now our kids are at the age, our girls, of maybe being in relationships. And one of the questions that we ask is, well, what are your boundaries?
That was the first question I asked Morgan's boyfriend.
And it's not to be legalistic about it. It's because there is something beautiful that happens when we have accountability with one another. And when we can honor God in that way, we can have discipline and we can show respect towards others. So,
And furthermore, if you don't know your boundaries, there's no respect. Because you don't know where to start or to stop. And if you just take, you end up empty and you end up ruining people. But if you have boundaries, then it's so easy to respect others and yourself. And that's one thing that the enemy doesn't want us to do, because he knows that it shows grace and humility and it in
Respect.
Empathy and sympathy and respect towards others and yourself. And it was beautiful, because we had just another thing. We had 2 or 3 worship songs at our wedding. We had just had a piano and a guitar and a couple people singing, and it was beautiful. And it was like we were worshiping with our tuxedo and our wedding dress on, right? And it was like tears are coming down my face, not because I was so excited, or I was, but it was the Lord was speaking to me in that moment, saying, "Hey, you guys did good.
Yeah.
Well done on this commitment. It was tough, but you did it." And I'm like, yeah, because that's we don't want to. I mean, we want to do something hard because it's worth it, and it was worth it.
Yeah.
So
you told. I just want to come back to that topic where I told you never kissed each other during when you guys dated before marriage.
Yeah.
So in today's world or culture, it's like if you're a couple, it's normal to have. It's like normalized. It's like if you're a couple, yes, you kissed. It's normal.
yeah.
But do you think it's in a biblical way? Is it forbidden to do that, or is it fine?
I don't think it's forbidden, but I do think it's governed by boundaries and respect, because it's dangerous nowadays because we don't have an innate respect for one another. We are taught, we are told, our world culture, it's not just American culture, it's everywhere now, that you just have whatever you want, whenever you want it. And that is not the right way to approach kissing. Kissing should be a very intimate and a very respectful thing. And it doesn't always need to be done in public like you see people doing. Like, please, come on. You're in a swimming pool, for Pete's sakes. Knock it off.
Oh, boy.
But I think you have something to add to that too?
So I think over the years, a lot of times we actually don't share that part of our story, just because I think it can turn into legalism.
Pretty fast, yeah.
It can become, where we all want to know the line, right? Because, well, we want to know, are we doing right or wrong? But in this situation, I really feel like it comes down to your relationship with God. And what is he asking you to do as a young man, as a young woman? What is he asking you to do? How is he asking you to be as a couple? And I really think that when we listen to him and obey what he's asked us to do, that he's going to bless that relationship. So not about the legalism, like with our girls, we're not telling them, oh, you can't kiss till you're married. We don't say that whatsoever.
I told Colin that, though.
That's Morgan's boyfriend. But
It's dad being a dad.
yes. It's okay.
About respect, can you tell us how do you came to this level of respect to each other? So, I mean, sometimes it's even hard to respect yourself. what about other people? So how do you do it?
That's really good. Yeah. I
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you said it perfectly. You know, sometimes it's hard to respect ourselves, let alone someone else,
Yeah.
right? And that's
And especially someone who pushed you down an escalator.
yes, especially somebody who pushed me down an escalator. Oh my word!
Sounds a bit more dramatic. I mean, I'm sure it felt kind of crazy, but
Oh, we're gonna make it dramatic. I love it.
Drama story, Delphi.
But I think it does start with that. It starts with, you know, do you have respect for yourself as a child of God? How do you view yourself? How do you know who created you? Do you know the purpose and the plans that you have? And are those founded and grounded in the Lord?
Yeah.
Because when they are, you have enough respect for yourself to also give that to somebody else. Because you cannot give what you don't possess,
Yeah.
right? Like, I can't give you $1 million. I would love to, but I don't possess $1 million, right? I would gladly give that away, but I don't have that.
Yeah.
I see.
So I know that at the beginning of our relationship, like Luke said, you know, he had time to understand me just as a person because I did come from a very different background. I was very raw, not polished at all. And it maybe took him back a little bit. He's like, oh no. But I remember very many conversations that were a little heated, where,
between us,
yes, between us,
It's like, oh, okay.
where he was forcing me to really love and respect myself. Because he could see that in me, or he was offering that to me, but I couldn't even accept it from him because I didn't love or respect myself because of my background and just growing up. And I had literally been a Christian for like 2 years, maybe when we met, 2-3 years.
Okay.
So I was still learning so much. I had never read the Bible. I didn't know anything. So, I don't know. What do you want to say about respect?
yeah, I just remembered a story when you said that. We were in the church parking lot.
Okay.
And we're like 18, 19 years, what, we 19 years old this time, almost 20. We're kids, you know. And it was funny because we spent a lot of our time during those 3 years, and it was a program called Master's Commission. And we spent our time memorizing scripture verses, 360 the first year, 180 the next year.
Whoa.
And then we were leading kids and trips and people, places, and all kinds of stuff, dealing with budgets and all kinds of stuff. We were being trained to be in ministry, right? And so we were doing all this stuff. And in the middle of all that, you're developing team with these different people, and we got to see each other and our strengths and our weaknesses without it being weird because we're in a relationship. So we got to see, like, I got to see where Tanya shines, and I also got to see where she struggles. And she also got to see the same with me. Like, she's a great studier. I'm terrible at studying. And so we got to, like, something simple like that. And then maybe there's emotional differences or thoughts, thought train differences, or how we think about ourselves, which is actually, we're so different, but we complement each other. So if she's down, I can be like, nope, we're not doing that. Like, I can help bring her back up. And one of those stories, I don't recommend this, but I didn't know what else to do because it was one of these things where we had gotten into this heated discussion. And I don't even know, it was like about her worth. And when she gets talking like, you know, I'm not worth this and I'm not worth, I'm like saying things like that, it makes me mad because she's so worth it. She's so precious, you know? And I'm like, how do you, no, you're not going to believe this. And I got so frustrated. And when she kept going round and round, that I smacked her dash like this, like really hard. and it was padded, like this old,
Yeah.
Chevrolet, it had like in the 90s, it had like this, like it was gray and it was soft, and I smacked it, and I'm like, because I just cracked it. And then until the day we had that car, to the last day we had that car, it was still there, and it got bigger and bigger, this crack. And it was a reminder that one, I don't need to be like that assertive. I mean, maybe sometimes, but yeah, I think it was also a reminder for Tanya that people do think you're worth it. And
Yeah.
not only people, God thinks you're worth it.
That's true.
And don't forget, and I didn't want it to be like so aggressive, but I was like, you got to understand this.
Yeah.
You can't keep in that circle. You have to hear what I'm saying to you. You are worth it. So
Because I think it's very difficult to like keep up that spirit, sometimes, and especially when you're alone, like separated from your family or something,
Yep.
and like when you don't have like a partner or something to like emphasize it. I feel like it's pretty difficult to like. I've had friends who say like, like who put themselves down. Because I myself couldn't comfort them because I didn't know what to say. I'm like, yeah, you're worth it. That's all I could say. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think, yeah, it's a very difficult.
yeah, and even when I was 19 or 20, I didn't have any words to use that maybe I could use now. I felt bad, but I didn't understand empathy or sympathy fully yet. And I don't know if anybody ever does until they're dead, but we grow in it as we go. And at that point in my life, I didn't have as much as maybe I have now. And I could have used better words or
Not hit my car.
not hit your car.
Saves
What's
the car.
interesting about that story, though, is I remember the verse that he kept saying to me. And
Ooh.
it's 1 John 4:4. You, dear children, are from God and have overcome them, because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world.
That's
And
Yeah, man.
I remember him saying it over and over, and he's like, now you say it with me. Come on, say it with me.
repeat after.
It was like being at a trainer,
Yeah.
like he's my coach. And he's like, you can do it one more. Come on, give me
One more rep. Come on, push it out.
Push it. The last one. Yeah.
That's what it felt like. But
Yeah.
that's what I needed in that season.
Yeah.
And there are times when the roles have been reversed, and I've been able to be that encouragement for Luke. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to have that.
It's the benefit of memorizing verses so much is that you don't have anything else to say other than Bible verses.
I think it's good. It's like,
Which is good.
which is a good thing.
What helped me is that I heard from someone thought like that. If God thought that you worthy, like you worth forgiveness, and you worth Son of God come to this earth and die for you, so you could get the forgiveness and salvation, who you are to think that like you can judge yourself and say like, no, you can't judge yourself, but it's like you can say that, no, I don't deserve forgiveness, no, I don't, because like if God decided that, then how you can say it to yourself?
Because it's like, and the forgiveness part is also like a lot of people think they have done too much so that God can't forgive them.
Yeah.
I'm like, similar story. I had a friend who told me that he was like, I've done way too much stuff, bro. It's like, I don't think God's gonna forgive me. It's like I'm too much into the stuff, and it's like too difficult. And I'm like, did you even ask him to begin with?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you just judged it's like you just came to a conclusion by yourself. It's like
Yeah.
before even like initiating anything. So yeah.
I remember hearing one time somebody explain, when you kind of have that self-pity and you're going down on yourself over and over and over, that it's actually a form of pride. Because you think that, I can't even describe how
Like
they...
no one has it as bad as you.
Yeah, no one has it as bad as you. Like, it's this weird idea, but it made sense to me at the time, and I can't really explain it right now. But
It's like the negative form of pride.
Okay.
Because we typically think of pride as in like I'm the
I'm so
loudest, I'm the
good.
best. But you also can have the opposite side where it's
Yeah.
I'm the worst and nobody has it worse off than me because
Yeah.
of my life and my
Yeah.
upbringing and all the things that happened to me. I am the worst.
Yeah.
So you're like, it's just the other side of it, which
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's
It's
a pretty
just as
common
toxic,
excuse
yeah.
a lot of people tell to. It's like my childhood was,
So
I had
bad,
a really
yeah.
bad childhood. That's why I'm like this. I mean, yes, it does have an effect, but I do believe that, at least personally, I believe that you could change it. It's not. It does have a certain level of impact, the way you grew, the environment you grew in your mentality. But I think it's something which you could overcome through your efforts and through God.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it's a very common excuse people give for a lot
Yeah.
of things.
Okay,
Right.
it's not the end. You just start. It's just beginning. You understand you want have bad stuff, and you have to just change it. Think about just the way you have, and just go to with people. So people talk with your friends, talk with your parents.
Yeah.
Don't isolate yourself. This lonely world becoming lonelier.
And also, it's like about repentance and forgiveness. I realized recently that, like, the difference between betrayal of Judas and like Peter also betrayed Jesus before crucifixion. Like 3 times he denied that he was with him. But the difference is that Peter repented after. He like, okay, yes, I did betray it, but I will come back because I love Jesus, and that's why he deserved forgiveness. But Judas, he also could be forgiven even after this like very bad betrayal.
Yeah.
Still he could be forgiven, and I realized it like a couple of weeks ago. But the thing is that he then like killed himself, if I'm not mistaken, and he didn't. He thought that he's not like
Worthy
he
of the
worthy of the forgiveness, and he don't deserve it. That's why he didn't like. It's also that's why it's a pride. It's like, no, I will not like ask for forgiveness because I don't deserve it. But who are you to think like that?
Even
It's like it's God who decided. So go and repent, ask for forgiveness, and you will get it.
even the guys, like not the guys, the people who were hung on the cross along with Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even they were like, they
They're
were not
actual criminals.
they were actual criminals. Like they killed or they stole. They did something like that. I'm not sure. So even they themselves asked. One of them asked, "It's like
Yeah.
if you forgive." I exactly don't remember the exact words, but
Remember me in paradise.
yeah. So Jesus was able to forgive him even at that point. So I feel like forgiveness is like you could get it anytime. All you need to do is ask.
Yeah.
And
It's not like a timeshare salesman that says as soon as you walk out of this door, this deal is off the table. You're never going to get
Yeah.
this deal again. If you come back 5 seconds later, it's not going to be here. But then the offer is the same deal to the person right after you. It's not like a window of opportunity. Your life is the window of opportunity
Yeah.
from the moment it starts to the moment it ends. So all the way up until your last breath, you have opportunity to actually even your last thought. You have to make things right. Even that's kind of wild for us to think like, well, how can that possibly be? He designed it so he can make the rules. And when you hear stories of
you can even ask forgiveness in the washroom.
Yeah.
yeah,
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Mhm.